Hi, and welcome to The Expansive Journey. My name is Julie, and today I'm going to talk about a topic that is very fundamental in the spiritual journey, very fundamental. And that is the questioning of who am I? And when you find yourself asking that question, and for some of us, including myself, that was sort of like one of the first steps on my spiritual journey. That was when I was laying in bed and I was all by myself, and I started to see through the labels and the conceptual matrix, you can say. And I started to really question, what am I? Not even who, like what is this? Am I talking monkey, like a thinking monkey, or what is this, a smart monkey? Or am I created by some man up in the sky? Or what's the truth about this? You know, something is what I have been told, you know, through books or teachers or culture. And one thing is that what I have learned myself to be, and the labels and the mental identifications that I have stepped into and sort of like placed myself into. But at some deep level, I knew that that was nothing but that, a label, a concept, an idea. And what am I beyond that? And that's not so much directed to an idea and much more related to how I experience this present moment. And I remember I was laying in bed, and it was like that question came from the core of my being. I hadn't really asked that question before, maybe as a kid, but not really to myself, like looking at myself and like really ask that question. What am I really? Who am I really? And I remember when that question, it was like it was arising from my essence. And the moment that question was recognized or received in my mind, it was like it was shaking my whole core, my whole structure, my whole ego identity was sort of like shaking. It felt very fragile in that moment when I asked the question, what am I? And this sort of question, like when we wake up, what is the truth of a spiritual awakening? It's not so much about waking up from the external matrix. It's a part of it for sure, like waking up from Maya. But it's more than anything an identity shift. You shift from your ego consciousness to what you really are. So it's more about that understanding that first you wake up from the external dream, which you can call the matrix. And then there is a second dream, which is the dream about your personality, the person you think you are. And some people, we wake up from the first matrix and we stay in the second as a spiritual person with a spiritual ego and a spiritual career and all of that. And there's nothing wrong about that. That's really beautiful. And I totally support that. But there's a level beyond that. And that is full transcendence of what you think you are. And to get there, you have to do self-inquiry. And that's when the question comes in, who am I? What am I? And not as a, like, oh, you know, I'm this person, I can do that. This is my interest, this is my past, this is where I'm going. These are my preferences. These are my social roles or career labels. More like asking that question to yourself, and in a sincere and sort of like an innocent way, where you're like, And if you look into it for the first time, without a past and without a future, without a thought, without attaching that question or that answer to something, most of us have to admit that we actually don't know what we are, especially when we first start asking that question and we start looking at ourselves in a completely different way. And that's the power of self-inquiry. And it can feel very scary. I remember the first time I asked that question, it completely popped up in my mind. And I remember it felt like I was falling back down into a dark, dark space of emptiness and nothingness and complete existentialism. It was like, the question was so fundamental and so existential that after that question had been asked, and I realized that I didn't know, but what I thought I had been was not the answer anymore. It was not satisfying to know that, oh yes, I'm this business student, or I'm this name, or this age, or this past, you know. So I know I could be that person in relation to other people, but in my relation to myself, that question had not been answered, not by looking at those mental labels and the ego identification. And that's how the spiritual awakening journey started, and also how the dark night of the soul sort of developed or came into existence, or into my experience, you can say. And that is sort of like a space where you, like, there is a feeling that there is nothing to hold on to anymore. A feeling that something fundamental, or everything you know, or a deep feeling of a loss, like something is dying, and you don't necessarily understand this or know what is going on. You just feel like something is dying and has fundamentally changed. And it's at the level of existence. It's so fundamental that you can't really attach it to an actual loss, like a loss of a friend or a person, or a loss of a job. You can't really attach it to a thing. It's just a sense of loss. And it's a sense of meaninglessness. No purpose, what's the point of anything? And that's sort of very natural process when you first start to experience that your personality is dying, or is transcending, or however you want to say that. And the question, who am I, is a really powerful question, in a very sincere and direct and a deep, like in a sincere, innocent and a deep, curious way. And it's one of the questions that can wake you up the soonest, if you have the courage to start asking it. And with that, I want to wrap up for today with this video. And I also want to invite you to book a call with me if you resonate with my message and feel drawn to my coaching program, Awaken You. I also touch upon self-inquiry in my coaching program. We can talk more about that on a call if you feel interested. You can find a link to book a call in my bio if you are on Instagram, and in the description below if you are on YouTube. And as always, subscribe to my channel and like this video, and share in the comments below if you feel like you are on a similar journey, and if you have truly, sincerely asked that question, who am I, to yourself. Okay, much love and namaste.